we welcome you to Spectrios Speaks. As today we get to talk to two wonderful people from Spectrios Institute. We have Chairman of the Board, Peter Winfrey, along with Dr. Tracy Williams. And we're going to start with Peter. And Peter, first of all, what's your history with vision loss?
Actually, it started, it was diagnosed 30 years ago in 1990. But probably a couple of years earlier, the onset had come along. It's called Stargardt macular dystrophy, and it's an early onset form of macular degeneration where you lose your central vision slowly. And I have the dry form. There's always this talk about dry and wet. But basically, my retinal cells, the macula cells, are programmed to die prematurely. And I've had a pretty slow but steady degradation in my field of vision. And I just had recently a cataract extraction in both eyes, for instance, and my right eye, even with the corrective lens, is at 20/200. So I am legally blind, visually impaired, and partially sighted. Wow, that sounds pretty bad, but they all mean the same thing, really. So I just pick and choose which one gets the most sympathy when I talk about it. And it mostly runs in adolescence. I think Tracy would agree with that. Stargardt is basically a teenager disease, but I was age 40 when I got my diagnosis.
And your vision, as bad as it was, is good enough now. And I hate to out you like this, Peter. How many holes in one have you had?
I've had 3, and it's after the age of 60, and while being legally blind.
Now, how long have you been associated with Spectrios Institute?
I started going there, probably in the early 2000s, and it was the Dyke Center at that point in time. And then I just really kind of fell in love with the place. And I don't know if it's time to talk about this or not, but I had devoted the first 10 years of my vision loss to the Foundation Fighting Blindness. And their focus is on finding cures, treatments and cures for these diseases. And I was all excited because, they had identified the Stargardt gene. And I thought, oh boy, it's only a matter of time before I'm fixed. Well, I was very naive in that approach, and I discovered that my resources, my energies, were better spent helping people with these various diseases rather than driving for a cure. Because the cure, even in 2020, I think, is still a 15-year proposition. And with the onset of COVID, I think research dollars will be dropping off from eye research into this all-out war against the COVID virus. So I think my focus is even greater now on Spectrios and the low vision rehabilitation side of this equation.
So obviously Spectrios Institute and the people there have had an impact on Peter. Is that what you, as both a patient and the chairman of the board, are now able to tell other people, Peter?
Yes, and Gene, I have always gotten a tremendous energy boost. I'm over there quite a bit. And I get a real boost because people walk in the front door of Spectrios and they've had a recent diagnosis of permanent vision loss. And that's a scary day. When you get that diagnosis, and most of the docs pretty much, well, my doc said, you're losing your eyesight and there's nothing you can do about it. And that was it, pretty much, have a nice day. But Spectrios, I think our one of our new mottos ought to be, when they tell you there's nothing you can do about it, we'll take it from here. And when people walk out of Spectrios, they realize that they're not defined by their disability. They're defined by what ticks in their head and what beats in their chest. And you also get this feeling that you can connect the dots without really seeing them too well. So that's the mission and the story that I'm so fond of at Spectrios.
Is that how House of Hope got its name? Because it kind of sounds like the framework for that.
You know, when we were first called the Dykey Center for Visual Rehabilitation, it was because we had this wonderful family, the Dykey family, Edwin and Lois Dykey. And they were actually patients over at the Wheaton Eye Clinic, which is right next door to us. And we initially were founded by the founder of the Wheaton Eye Clinic, Dr. P.K. Geezer. So Dykey house, there was actually this house that was on the parking campus, and we decided that's what we wanted, because we really wanted this nice family feel, you might say, and we didn't want a big clinic. We wanted everything to happen with practitioners that love to work with the patients but love to work with each other. So the Dykey House of Hope, we've kept that because the house was actually built in 2002. The mission was actually started in 1986. And so we decided that we needed a new branding, and the Dykey family was so generous to so many different charities in the Wheaton and DuPage area that we changed the name to this very easy name, the Spectrios Institute. Now you might say, what the heck is Spectrios? Well, you divide the name in half. Spec is in spectacles, but we do the full spectrum of comprehensive low vision rehabilitation. And the trios is our triad philosophy that Pete was talking about, that we work on the head, heart, and eye. So that's been our House of Hope since 2002, when we had a capital campaign, and it's a very special place.
One of the things that have come about because of the COVID-19 lockdown and stay-at-home orders is being able to see a doctor remotely, and that's something that you're offering now at Spectrios, right?
Well, we absolutely, and we're very excited about this, because it was very worrisome, I think, to the whole Spectrios family. What's going to happen? Because we had to close down our House of Hope, but we were going to never close our mission down. So we immediately decided to jump into a direction that's been going on. It's going on in a lot of medical specialties, and that's telehealth. So the idea is, if the children and adults with vision loss can't come to us, we're going to go to them. So we have a telehealth video program where we can actually hook up, send a link, and go through that comprehensive low vision evaluation with the person with vision loss face to face, or we can actually do a telehealth phone encounter. So when we do the phone encounter, that sometimes is a lot easier, but this is the ability of us to still reach that person. And sometimes you may not think that this is such an emergent thing, but sometimes people have just been told that they have a vision loss and there's no cure for it. So you can only imagine the anxiety and sometimes depression, that if you can get early intervention and you can begin to talk with them, they can begin to realize that there's a hope supported by science.
This would be a good time to mention, if you'd like more information, please go to spectrios.org. You'll find more information, including a nice, easy how to get started with telehealth and virtual exams. So that takes care of the easy part. Here comes the tough part for both of you. Unfortunately, because of the stay-at-home orders, we got to miss a really good time and a great opportunity to raise funds for Spectrios Institute, and that was the Roaring 2020s Gala. What happened, and what can we do now?
What happened? Well, you know, the first thing is it was very disappointing because Pete and I usually have a lot of fun doing this. Pete is actually, in past ones, brought a band in, and he actually was the lead singer, singing a lot of Sinatra songs. The last 2 years, I've dressed up both as Mr. Monopoly and as a jockey. Now, I know, Gene, you would have a hard
I
time.
hope that means the theme changed, but okay.
Yes, he did change each time. But it's a great night because obviously we raise money for a great cause, but I think the opportunity for people to actually listen to an adult with vision loss and what their journey was, and a child with vision loss, I think it's a pretty inspirational night, and we have fun. You know, we have auctions and different goofing off that a bunch of us do, but we usually have about 250 people. So that would be considered a gathering, I think. And right now that is not the thing to do. And it's about $100,000, hole in your budget. So it makes your board and staff, especially your development directors, scramble. But I've been here for 34 years, and we will definitely find a way to overcome this. We've had already, our sponsors have been just great, and they just said, oh, what the heck, at least we don't have to see you dressing up as some characters, so that'll be great.
See, I thought you were going to show up as a flapper, so I was actually looking forward to seeing that.
Actually, that was it. Yeah.
See?
So I think it carries on, but you've been involved with our golf events that we've had with the Chicago White Sox. And this
I'm
year,
not dressing up as a flapper this year either, no.
No. You have actually had a chance to golf with a unbelievable professional golfer last year. You really, I think, learned some new golf swings that maybe you had never seen before. But
well, I gave him a few swings he hadn't seen before either, so.
But we are hoping that we're going to have our golf event on September 24th. We don't know what the White Sox schedule is, but guess who it's going to be dedicated to?
I would think to our dear friend, late Ed Farmer.
That is correct. Who, jeepers, I think he supported us for about 13 years. And Pete and I would like to say that you've been doing that. We've been so lucky that we've also had Darren Jackson, as you know, and Hawk Harrelson. And it's just been a great time. But we have three main events. We have the Gala, we have the golf event, and then we have at the end of the year a nice holiday appeal. But when you work in the low vision field, unlike other medical specialties, the low vision doctors actually see patients for 1 hour. And I don't, most of the time you'll see a doctor for 5 or 10 minutes, but it is important that people have that contact so they can get the psychosocial and clinical side. And
well, I don't know who's best to answer this, but you mentioned that there's going to be a budget gap because we did not get to have the Roaring 2020s.
Yep.
And you didn't get to dress up as a flapper, so I hope you got to return the costume. But what can you do now about the budget gap?
Well, we've been able to work on a special edition Bright Side. I'm sure you've read that wonderful newsletter. It has a circulation of about 9,000, so there will be a gentle appeal there. We definitely realize these times. This pandemic, as we all know, is both this coronavirus, but it's really been devastating from an economic standpoint. So we're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about what we're doing. So the telehealth is a new revenue source, and we're hoping that our supporters out there see that we came out swinging, and that we will never stop serving children and adults with vision loss. So I have a feeling that things will be okay.
Well, hopefully, Peter, Dr. Williams, we'll get to come back and tell people about what we're going to do next to be able to help support Spectrios Institute. In the meantime, thank you to Peter Winfrey, Chairman of the Board, and Dr. R. Tracy Williams. Thank you very much. And if you'd like more information, of course, please log on to spectrios.org.